So welcome to the next Fix-It lesson. Today it's a lesson we did some time ago actually, seeing if we can improve it. It's about using the spine to support the movement of the head. So as you can see, I'm straddling my chair. I've got an old pew chair which enables me to just rest the forearms on it a little bit, or you can even have the hands just resting on the back of your chair. If your chair doesn't permit you to straddle it, you can in fact do the lesson the other way round. Maybe you've got a desk or a table that you can rest the hands on as necessary. So the important thing is to try and make yourself comfortable. So if the chair is making you uncomfortable, then change the chair or change the chair around. So just by way of a test movement, could you tilt your right ear towards your right shoulder, just to get a sense of how you do that? And I'm deliberately not showing the movement here because I just want you to explore what's it like to tilt your right ear towards the shoulder. But as you tilt the ear towards the shoulder, try to stay looking forward as opposed to looking down towards the floor. So you're just testing it, can I tilt my right ear towards my right shoulder? And then just once you've done it a few times, pause. And then really just ask yourself, when you tilted the ear towards the shoulder, did you do something like this, which would be just really trying to tilt the ear from the upper part of the neck? Or did you in fact involve more of your spine in a side bending action? And I'm imagining that most of you, because you all experienced Feldenkrais or Fix-It people, you will have involved more of your spine. But just to sort of make sure that is what we're doing, could you begin to press into your right foot? So I'm mirroring for the class, to review some of our side bending movements. So you're pressing into the right foot so as to try and tilt the pelvis to the left and then come back to centre. So at this stage, you're just keeping the head more or less in the middle. So you're just tilting, pressing into the right foot to tilt the right side of the pelvis so that your weight begins to pour down into your left sit bone. So see if you can initiate this by pressing the right foot down into the floor gently so that the right side of the pelvis begins to lift, but you can sense how your weight is beginning to transfer over onto the left hand side. And what we're, of course, if you just rest for a moment, what we're trying to avoid doing here is tilting the spine. What we're looking for is more of this side bending action. So once you've thought about the pelvis for a few movements, bring your attention to the middle part of the ribs and think of your ribs moving over to the left and then come back to centre. So just thinking of the ribs moving over to the left and then coming back to centre. And of course, as you're giving the emphasis to the ribs, you can perhaps feel how the right side of the pelvis is lifting as part of this movement. And you can perhaps sense how the spine is beginning to curve over to the left, but just trying to keep the head more or less in the centre. So certainly by thinking of the ribs and the pelvis, you can feel how the lower kind of half of the spine is beginning to sway over to the left. Good. And then pause, and now bring your attention to your left shoulder and think of your left shoulder going to the left and slightly up, and then come back to centre. So your left shoulder is going to the left and slightly up. And then the thing really to make sure you're allowing is as the left shoulder is going to the left and slightly up, so the right shoulder is coming down. So you're not trying to keep the shoulders even. As the left shoulder is going to the left and slightly up, you're allowing the right shoulder to go down. And you can perhaps begin to feel that when you allow that right shoulder to go down, that those ribs underneath the armpit area, they begin to come closer together, so that that upper part of the spine between the shoulder blades, you can feel how that's beginning to join in this curve to the left. So left shoulder up, right shoulder down, to begin to really see if that part of the spine between the shoulder blades is included in the movement. And then pause, and then see if you can just alternate the attention, giving the emphasis to pressing into the foot to lift the right side of the pelvis a few times, but allowing at the same time the ribs to move to the left, those middle ribs. And then also think of the left shoulder going up and the right shoulder down. So we're curving the spine to the left to shift our weight onto the left. And just as you do a few more movements, sensing this action of the spine, see if you can continue the movement, but rather than thinking, say, of the pelvis, the ribs and the shoulder, you are thinking more of the whole of yourself being involved in the movement. And I suspect if you're anything like me, it's really, you have to really think about letting that right shoulder descend so that those ribs underneath the armpit are also moved over to the left. Good. And then pause, just take a rest for a moment. So for those in last week's class, remember we did this amazing twisting lesson, which really hopefully brought into our awareness this attention of the spine between the shoulder blades, which for many people, particularly people who have what's called a forward head posture, that area gets very held, the muscles get very sort of rock solid around that area. There can often be very little sense of a possibility of movement there. And this lesson is really kind of bringing that attention even more sharply into the focus. But you can perhaps sense that really by, so I've got Boris here to show, is by really thinking of your right shoulder softening and the left one going higher, it begins to use the ribs effectively to push those vertebrae over to the side so that they get included in the movement. Boris isn't actually that flexible because he's got a metal bit going through him, but it's that idea. But now, just as we've explored side bending to the left, just see what's it like now if you were to turn to look towards the right and then come back to the centre. So just a few times to the right and then come back to centre. And then test what's it like to look to the left and then come back to centre. Does it feel a bit different going to the right say, compared to the left. And one of the reasons it can feel, for me it feels easier to the right, is because I'm allowing a shift of weight over to the left to help me turn to look towards the right, because we've just been practicing that. Whereas to go to the left, it feels slightly more sluggish to do that. So let's begin to explore bringing the weight onto the right hand side. So begin to, first of all, press into the left foot. You push down into the floor to help lift the left side of the pelvis, and then you let it come back down. So you're pressing into the left foot to try and lift the left side of the pelvis, to pour the weight down into your right hand side and then come back to centre. Once more, pressing into the left foot and then come back to centre. And then bring your attention to the middle part of the ribs, which are actually hidden by the back of my chair. But think of your ribs, allowing them to push over to the right, but trying to keep the head more or less in the centre. It will move over to the right a little bit, but we're not tilting, we're exploring our ability to move the ribs towards the right, keeping their head more or less centred. And then pause, bring your attention to your right shoulder. Now think of allowing the right shoulder to go to the right and slightly up. And the more you allow your left shoulder to come down, you can feel that really kind of nudges the vertebrae just below the neck, which for many people show very little movement. Just asking them to join in this curving of the spine to the right. And then just to explore a few movements. First of all, thinking of the foot and the pelvis, to bring the weight onto the right hand side. A few movements thinking more of the emphasis on the ribs, the middle ribs moving to the right. And then think of the emphasis being on the shoulders, the right shoulder going up, and really, so you almost think you've got a tea towel tucked underneath the armpit on the left hand side, and you're really trying to squash that tea towel to really get that upper part of the spine involved in the curving. Good. And then once you've explored the individual kind of components of the side bending, see if you can just explore making it a more integrated movement, so that you're not thinking of the individual parts. They're all part of it, but it's more the whole movement that you're investigating. Good. And then pause in the middle, and then see what it's like now to tilt your right ear towards the right shoulder. Can you allow the spine to curve over to the left, and then come back to centre? And can you tilt the left ear towards the left shoulder, so that you're really thinking of the neck now, starting all the way down in the pelvis certainly, but also down in the feet, so that middle to upper part of the spine is supporting the movement of the head. Good. And then pause, and then just test what's it like to look once to the right and then once to the left. Just looking with the eyes on the horizon, once to the right and once to the left. Are you allowing the shift of weight through the pelvis and the ribs to support that movement? Good. and then just pause and take a rest for a moment. So I think you all know in this class, have heard me explain that Feldenkrais had a definition of what good movement is, and not good movement because he's telling you it's a good movement, or not good movement because a yoga teacher is telling you a good movement. A good movement for Feldenkrais, who had an engineering and physics background, was one where the movement was spread throughout the whole of the skeleton, the whole of the system. And the reason it was good is partly because if I choose to move just from, say, the neck, keeping the rest of myself still, it means the force is really happening all the time in the same place. Whereas when you use more of yourself, then the force is distributed throughout the whole of the skeleton, so there's less wear and tear on individual joints. And another reason why that kind of movement feels good is it because when you find yourself able to move in that way, it just feels easier, and that's what we're after, easier movement. Now please pause, and then could you bring your right arm out to the side, and then just bring it back down. So just to explain a few things about this, so there are a number of ways you could bring the arm out to the side. One is to lift the back of the hand to do that. But if you can see my shoulder, if I lift the back of the hand, it causes my shoulder, so I'll just exaggerate that, to roll forward. So another way of lifting the hand is to think of just allowing the shoulder to roll back, and you're scooping the arm under to bring it shoulder height. So the palm is turned towards the ceiling, the elbow is pointing down at the floor, and then just bring it back down again. So you think of just rolling the shoulder back to turn the palm towards the ceiling, and think you're scooping under something, so that the little finger side of the hand is more leading the movement, as if you're holding a ball. And then bring it back down. And then another thing just to think about, there's an awful lot to think about, as you roll the shoulder and scoop the arm up, that you're keeping the arm just slightly in front of the line of the body, so it's not completely outside or behind you. You can feel that does something very different in the shoulder joint. And it's particularly important, so if you are somebody who hyperextend the elbows, you see, if I imitate, I don't hyperextend the elbows, but if I did hyperextend, locking out the elbows, it causes the shoulder to pop up. So you want to keep a slight softness in the elbows and a softness in the ribs as you bring the arm up, so that the arm is connected into the spine. Just to give that arm a rest, let's just try that to the left hand side. So again, think about your shoulder rolling back, and then you turn the palm towards the ceiling and just bring it to shoulder height, just slightly in front of the line of the body. And this idea that the little finger side of the hand is just slightly leading the movement, as if you're holding a ball. Good. And then just bring the arm back down. So just once more, left side. So again, think of initiating this from the shoulder, and then you turn the palm just to bring it shoulder height. Good. And then come back to centre. this rester. So we're not going to do too many of these lifted arm movements, because if you're not used to it, it can be quite hard work, and partly what the lesson is about is making it less hard work by connecting the movement of the arms to the spine. But then please bring your right arm back out to the side. You can have the other hand on the back of the chair if you're using one, and think of reaching the arm out to the right and then come back to centre. So reaching the arm out to the right and then come back to centre. So can you feel our side bending action going on in the spine to reach the arm out to the centre, and then just take a rest again for a moment. So just as you're resting, I just want to explain another thing here, and again it's particularly relevant to a person who hyperextends. If I bring my arm out to the side, one way of me thinking of reaching it is I initiate with the arm, with the hand, and it's kind of pulling the arm out, and then I'm waiting for the arm to pull me over. But what that does, or can do, is it causes the pull of the upper arm into the shoulder, kind of puts a little bit of strain there. So another way that I'd like you to think about the movement of the arm, if possible, is instead of the hand pulling the arm over, you're thinking of initiating the reach from your middle, so that you're not pulling the arm first and then following with the spine. The arm stays connected into the shoulder to reach the arm out to the side, and then just rest the arm back down. Again, just to give you quite a lot of rest from that hand position. And then once you've had a little rest, again, think of rolling the shoulder to bring the arm out to the side slightly in front of you, sort of observing all those points that we looked at. And now this time, thinking of initiating the reach of the arm, can you tilt your right ear towards the arm and then come back to centre? So you're thinking of side bending to reach the arm and bringing the right ear towards the arm and then coming back to centre. So just a few more times, reaching right ear towards the right arm and then come back to centre. Good. And a few more. Again, careful. So you're pushing the arm from the spine and then come back to centre and take a rest. If you're feeling a little bit of a muscle burn in the shoulders, you can always do a few of the shoulder circles that we sometimes do to prepare for the lessons in the little warm-ups. Good. And then pause, and then once more, could you reach the right arm out to the side? Good. And then reach the arm out to the side, bring the right ear towards the arm, good, and then bring the head up and think of reaching the arm a little bit further and then come back to centre. So you bring the right arm up, reach it in, again, reach, not pull the arm, so you're pushing the arm out to the centre. Bring the right ear towards the arm, and as you bring the head up, think of reaching the arm a little bit further, and then you come back to centre. So you bring the right arm up, you're reaching, pushing the arm out to the side, bring the ear to the arm, as you bring the head up, you try and just reach the arm a little bit further and then come back to centre. So that extra reaching, again, is not so much, if possible, coming from the arm pulling you over. It's allowing those ribs underneath the left armpit to really concertina together, so that that part of the spine pushes over to the left. Let's just do that once more. So you bring the right arm out to the side. Good. Reach, or push, I should say, over to the right. Bring the right ear towards the arm. And as you bring the head up, try to soften that left shoulder to reach the arm a little bit further. And then you come back to centre. Good. And then take a rest. So hopefully during the course of that exploration, you were feeling this part of the spine, kind of opposite the breastbone, how it can sway from side to side. So now once again, bring the right arm out to the side and think of reaching the arm, tilting the head, and then coming back quickly. So you're reaching, tilting the ear to the arm, and coming back quickly. See if you can get a sense of that reaching coming from the spine to come back to centre. So you're reaching, tilting, coming back more quickly, just seeing that you can feel that part of the spine involved in the movement. Pause and take a rest for a moment. And then once you've had a little rest, just once more, we will be doing the other side, bring the right arm out to the side. Good. And now this time, as you bring the reach, and bring the ear to the arm, lift the arm towards the ear, and then come back to centre. So you're reaching the arm out to the side, bringing the ear towards the arm, and allow the arm to come up towards the ear, and then come back to centre. Again, you're reaching, so the arm and the ear connect, and then you come back to centre, reaching, and then come back to centre. Good. And then just take a rest for a moment. Just whilst you're resting, Feldenkrais, when he taught a version of this lesson, really had in mind people who suffer from migraines. One of the possible causes of migraines, people often have this forward head posture, or this thickness here, thickness at the base of the neck, is that when those muscles, so one lady I worked with last week called it as a sense that she'd been bound solid in this position, is that those muscles often become almost rock hard and create a pull into the area of the head that can cause really horrible migraines and pain. And so partly he believed that this lesson would help people who suffer from migraines find relief if they were able to discover this possibility of movement and support from that area of the spine. Please bring your left arm out to shoulder height, and then first of all just to explore reaching the arm out to the left and then come back to centre. So you'll bring the arm up, reach it out to the left, and then come back to centre. just being careful that you're not pulling the arm out of the socket or that kind of thing, that you're trying to move the arm over to the left because you're initiating the movement from your middle. That you're bringing the arm out, moving it over to the left. So the right foot pressing into the floor can help you with that movement. Good. And then just take a rest. And then the next time, can you bring the left arm out in the same way, again rolling the shoulder, connecting the arm into the socket. And this time, as you reach over, can you tilt your left ear towards the arm and then come back. So you're reaching, tilting the left ear towards the arm and then come back. So you're side bending to reach the arm, just bringing the left ear towards the left arm. Once more, reaching, tilting, good, and then come back. And then pause, just have a rest for a moment. And then please bring the left arm out to the side again. Begin to again side bend or shift the weight to lengthen the arm. Bring the ear to the shoulder and then try to bring the head back but reach the arm a little bit further. Again, not from pulling the arm, it's because you're allowing those ribs on the right to soften. So you bring the arm out to the side, you tilt the ear towards the arm, and as you bring the head back, try to let the arm linger and reach a little bit further and then come back to centre. Again, roll the shoulders, bring the arm up, think of pushing the arm out to the side, you bring the ear to the arm, and then you think of bringing the head back to the middle, but allowing the arm to reach a little bit further, and then come back to centre. So again, I like that image, there's a tea towel underneath my right armpit, I'm really making sure no one's going to take it from underneath, but out from underneath the armpit. You bring the arm out to the side, reach, bring the ear to the shoulder, bring the head up, but try and reach the arm a little bit further, good, and then come back to centre. Pause, take a rest for a moment. I get this lovely feeling, I'm hoping you're getting something the same, of real mobility, the ability to move from that area of the spine opposite the breastbone. And then once more, please bring the left arm up, reach it out to the side, tilting the ear to the arm, and then come back quickly. So you're reaching, tilting, and coming back quickly. Reaching, tilting, coming back quickly. Good. Reaching, tilting, coming back quickly. It's almost as though you're kind of doing that kind of thing with the head. Good. And then pause and take a rest. And then once more, please bring the arm out to the side, the left arm. And as you're reaching from the middle, bring the ear to the arm, and just lift the arm to the ear, and then come back to centre. So you're reaching, bringing the ear to the arm, and the arm to the ear, and then come back to centre. And again, reaching, ear to the arm, and then coming back to centre. Good. And a few more, reaching, ear to the arm to the ear, and then coming back to centre. Good. And then just have a rest. And And then when you just come to the middle to rest, just test what's it like to tilt one ear towards one shoulder and one ear towards one shoulder to the other shoulder. Are you feeling much more the spine being involved in that movement? Good. Good. And just pause and have a brief rest. Good. And then once more, we'll turn to the right side. Bring your right arm out to the side. So again, in the same way, being rolling the shoulder, keeping a softness in the elbows, a softness in the ribs, wrists, thinking of the little finger side scooping up. And then reach over to the right. And now, can you think of bringing the left ear towards the right shoulder, the left shoulder, left ear towards the left shoulder, good, left ear towards the left shoulder, and then come back. And then once more, it feels strange, doesn't it, that one? So once more, bring the right arm out to the side, reach over. Now tilt the right ear towards the right shoulder, and as you bring left ear towards the left shoulder, can you think of reaching the arm even further? So right ear towards right arm, left ear towards the left shoulder, but with the idea when you bring the left ear towards the left shoulder, you're not shortening the arm towards you, it's in fact lengthening even further away, again not from pulling, but from the bending in the spine. Another lady I was working with last week, a young mother, has been having terrible problems with the right side, the right shoulder, and that's partly because of an injury she sustained a number of years ago. And it was just very interesting looking at her spine and the position of the head, and it looked very much as though this was happening. Kind of the part of the spine had displaced relative to the head, that kind of thing, and was putting a real amount of strain in the one side. And so one of the things I love about these lessons is that they can really help to change that area. Please bring your left arm out to the side and begin to reach the arm, push the arm out to the left, and then can you bring your left ear towards the arm, and then bring the right ear towards the right shoulder, but without shortening the arm towards you. So you bring the left ear towards the arm, and then as you explore bringing the right ear towards the right shoulder, have the sense that the arm is not shortening towards you, but it's lengthening further out to the side. And then once more, when you come back to centre, just explore what's it like to tilt one ear towards one shoulder and then the other. And then come back to centre. And now this time, could you roll the shoulders back to bring both arms out to shoulder height, again just slightly in front of the body, so not behind, slightly in front, with that softness in the elbows, softness in the hands, and then begin to reach one arm out to the side and then the other arm out to the side. so that one arm is going up and one arm is going down. But really, you're not so much thinking of the arms, it's really we're as if we're moving, didn't have arms, we're still doing this movement. So once more, just bring the arms up, and then think of one arm going slightly higher than the other. Good. And then see if you can begin to tilt the head towards the arm that's going down, without strain, Good. Good. And then pause, just rest the arms down by the side. Good. And then please bring the arms, both arms back up, scooping them up. And now this time, can you tilt the head towards the arm that's going up, towards the arm that's going up. Good. Good. Doesn't that feel nice? It feels almost like your spine is like seaweed, going from side to side. Good. And then pause and take a rest. Once more, turn to look to the right, come back, turn to look towards the left. Good. See how that is going now. Good. And then once more, bring both arms out to the side. They're holding the earth, a great big ball, and then just see what's it like to tilt the ear towards one shoulder and then towards the other. You feel the movement in the spine. Good. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And then just see what's it like to side bend to the left and side bend to the right. Can you feel in particular that part of the spine that's opposite the breastbone participating in this side bending action? Good. And then just take a rest. So just going to turn the chair round now. And then, so I'm sure if you, of course, those of you who are tennis fans will have seen amazing tennis from Emma Raducanu and her win at the US Open, and you watch tennis players, these elite tennis players playing matches, and you see the whole of their spine, everything is participating in every shot. That when they're reaching, they're reaching from their spines, as opposed to keeping the spine very rigid and held, and just trying to do it from the arms. So hopefully during the course of this lesson you'll have felt this possibility of the movement of the arms coming from the spine, and I just encourage you as you go away from the lesson, in your walking, whether it's reaching for something on the kitchen table, for a cup of tea, whether it's the mouse on the computer, that you're really thinking, actually I'm moving from my centre to do these movements, as opposed to keeping the back very held in one position and trying to lift the arm to do that kind of thing, so that you're supporting the movement of the head and the arms from your spine. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you very much. See you next week.